Brooke and Sam, I'll start with you. You both experienced something so traumatic at an early stage of your life. That would be hard for anybody. What was it like for you to allow cameras in to document that process? And why was it important for you to do that?
For me, it was really therapeutic, talking about it, getting everything out there. I think people really underestimate what talking does for you. And so it was really just a great experience for me, and I trusted the way they were doing everything. They were extremely respectful of my privacy and what I wanted to share and what I didn't.
After you have a chance to kind of decompress from the trauma a little bit, you ask yourself, what am I gonna do now? Mm-hmm. And what I wanted to do was fight so that other people don't have to go through what we went through.
These little white ones are from the first bouquet of flowers that Joaquin ever bought me.
Emily and Jake, you started filming this very soon after the incident. How did you gain and maintain the trust of the families, of students, to be there in those moments?
It's a hard and delicate process. You're going down and asking for access into someone's life in the most difficult time. For David especially, he had become someone who was in the headlines, who was massively popular, and we were really interested in learning more about what he was like away from the headlines, away from the crowds, what his family was like, and so they gave us access to those rare moments where you can just see him being a kid interacting with his mom, and it was a privilege to witness that.
Throughout the whole process, we were very nervous about triggering memories and re-traumatizing the students. We really carefully watched for any signs of hesitation or any sense of reluctance from the families. We were really grateful when we actually, over the phone with Brooke's dad, he told us, "You're getting the poison out."
Sam, in the film, we see you describe how 7 days after this incident has happened, you get a phone call from the White House. And then days later, you are sitting with the president, and there's a wall of cameras in front of you, and you get a chance to speak and say what bothers you and what you see to change.
I turned 18 the day after. Woke up to the news that my best friend was gone. And I don't understand why I could still go in a store and buy a weapon of war.
What was that experience like for you?
I never wrote anything. I don't think I've wrote anything down that I've spoken to this day. I kind of just speak from the heart, and I mean, 7 days after, and even still, the only thing filling my heart is my friend. I just kind of let him hear it, you know?
It's still happening.
It's a lot of pain, and I wasn't thinking to myself like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that because it'll affect him. I don't care how anything I say affects him. Like, honestly, going back, I would have said a lot more and called him out a lot harder.
Students like yourselves, instead of going in with your pain, went out front. You went from being targets in your school to being targets on the political scene. What was it like to deal with that as younger teenagers and also be healing at the same time?
When you speak out, like on an interview, and it gets posted on a social media account, and then you see all the comments, I've decided not to read them. I was 14 at the time when I was doing all of these, and now I'm 15. I'm still not even a legal adult. I don't even have my driver's license yet, and I'm getting attacked.
People were making up lies about the students. People were saying you were political pawns.
Crisis actors. Just laugh them off, you know, like, your ignorance is not my pain. Like, I expected people to react negatively. Our country's very split. People don't agree with us, and I'm not surprised, but I don't really give them anything. They're the least of my issues, you know? It's not something that I lose sleep over.
We will save lives. You are those heroes.
Students like Brooke and Sam, Emily, David, and many more became advocates for gun control in the United States. I want to ask you about the students that go to this school. What is it about them that sparked this spirit of activism, of change? Because it became a movement. It became a symbol for something.
I think it is a testament to the students that went to that school that they were so quickly able to articulate the trauma that they lived through and understand why it was so important to get their message out there so that this didn't have to happen to another community.
Sam and Brooke, I want to ask you guys the same question. What is it that allowed you to have that voice? Where did that come from?
I think that we just realized, we kind of stepped out of the bubble that was Parkland and realized what a problem it was. And we don't want anyone our age or anyone period to ever have to see or experience what we saw. We both lost close friends. He lost someone that was like a brother to him. That should not happen when you're in high school, or really ever.
In previous mass shootings, it was different. For example, Columbine was late 90s. It was only 20 years ago, but it's a completely different era. Aurora movie theater in Colorado. That was different people all in the same place who went through something terrible. But when you go to Douglas, it's over 3,000 students all walking into the same place, feeling the same feeling, all who have experienced the same thing. And no matter what the situation is, you can't deny that there's power in numbers. That's one thing that I think was different for us. Second, today's a completely different social media generation, and it was a little bit easier for us to catch wave, pick up motion than other victims.
Emily and Jake, why did you make this film?
I think what we wanted to really shed a light on, and what the families allowed us to do, is to give a sense of the very, very long ripple that happens and continues to happen after a single incident like this, and to bear witness to how families come together, form a community, find meaning from such a senseless act.
Sam, Brooke, you're both here, but other students in their process of dealing with what happened have died by suicide. So I wanted to ask the both of you, how are you both now?
I would say it's a journey. When people talk about the grief process and when you're going through something traumatic like this, they always talk about the stages. And don't get me wrong, we do go through the stages, but it's not dun 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 dun. It's very much a wave. I go from angry to sad and I bounce back all the time. I go from happy to depressed. It's a whole wave, and it's gonna happen for the rest of our lives. It's a hard process and a long process, but I definitely am in a better state now than I was at the beginning of this. I've gotten a lot more accepting. I don't get as many flashbacks as I used to, and it's become a lot easier for me to talk about what happened.
As far as like moving on, there's not really moving on. Like every single day, there's not an hour in the day that I don't get hit with remembrance of my friend. And then there's another point in that hour where if I'm in a public place, I just don't feel safe. You know, and if I'm in big groups of people, I don't feel safe. I feel like I'm a sitting target. If I'm in class and I'm sitting next to the door, I'm the first person that's getting shot. Really, like the only times when you're not majorly affected by it is when you're distracted.
How has what happened to you changed and shaped who you will become?
After speaking out and doing a bunch of interviews, I definitely have looked more into journalism, anywhere where I can use my voice and help people and be a voice for others that can't speak out.
Sam, how about you?
I don't think my plan has really changed, but I know that for the rest of my life, as long as this is an issue, then I'm gonna be a part of it. And no matter what it is, if it's speaking or helping people or whatever it is, like I'll always make myself available for this. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going into politics. Let's say that.
Jake and Emily, thank you so much for bringing us this incredible perspective of this story. And Sam and Brooke, I want to thank you both for sharing so openly, so honestly, something that is still painful that you're still working through. And thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.